Hey guys, I'm Kay Paff from Cool Breeze Equine. I want to talk about a really popular topic I get a lot of questions about, trailer loading. So I'm here with my horse Genevieve today. We're going to do a little bit of trailer practice. I really don't remember when the last time she was on the trailer, but it certainly was not in her favorite skill sets. So she tends to be a little bit difficult, so we're just going to or not difficult so much as inexperienced, or difficult because she's inexperienced. So she just needs a lot more practice on it. It's something, trailer loading, I like to practice frequently with my horses, so that it's almost like their stall. So I think about the trailer just like I would think about their stall. So if your horse is fearful to go in their stall, they're definitely going to be fearful to go in a trailer. If they're comfortable in their stall, then you have a way to start thinking about the trailer to turn that into something that is comfortable for them as well. So once I get my horses in the trailer regularly, then I feed them in there, I groom them in there, I let them take a nap in there, and maybe sponge them down a little bit, something like that. Whatever they're comfortable, whatever they enjoy outside the trailer, I'll do the same thing inside the trailer for the most part. Now, I'm not going to take a hose and start spraying them down in the trailer. That might be asking for a little more than what they can handle. But anything that helps them relax. So giving affection and grooming is a really helpful one a lot of times. Now, if your horse is too nervous for you to be grooming them in the trailer, then that tells you they're really too nervous to be staying in the trailer and going on a ride, going on a trip, going to a show, something like that with you, going on a trail ride, whatever. You want them to be comfortable enough that you can touch them anywhere on their body while they're in the trailer, and that doesn't signal to them to run backwards out of the trailer, which is a common response that a lot of horses have. If they do that, that just tells you they just really need a lot more work on that till they get comfortable in there. If they are in their stall and you go to pet them, they're not typically going to try to they're not going to try to run backwards out of their stall just because you put your hand on their side or their neck. So the same thing should be true in the trailer. So a couple of things before we get started to think about. I use specific equipment for a reason. When I haul my horses, I like to haul them in breakaway halters, or I'll make my rope halters a breakaway halter. And so what I'll do if I have a horse that I'm not sure where they're at in their loading skills and how well they'll get on a trailer, first of all, I'm practicing before I actually have to go anywhere. But if they're still practicing and learning, then I'll put a breakaway halter over top of their rope halter so that when I tie them in the trailer, I'm tying them to the breakaway halter. So if there's an accident, something happens, the halter will break rather than my horse's neck becoming injured. I never want to tie a horse in a halter that's not a breakaway, particularly in a trailer where I can't be there, I can't monitor them, I can't pull them loose if they need to come loose quickly. That said, I like working in rope halters because it's a much more finessed and refined feel and refined communication that I have with my horse. So if I lift my rope a little bit, she beat me to it there, good girl. If I move my rope a little bit, let's say I just draw it this way, she can feel I didn't even pull on that rope yet, I just lifted it up so she could feel the weight of the rope change, and so she can respond to a very light cue instead of me having to use a lot of muscle for a cue. I don't want to have to use a lot of muscle because anytime I'm using a lot of muscle, number one, I'm going to get tired quickly. Number two, she can of course outmuscle me anytime. Any horse can, even a little pony can outmuscle you. And number three, anytime we're muscling our horses, that's a surefire way to increase their anxiety and their stress level. So we don't want to be doing that. We want this to be a comfortable and relaxing thing for them. So the right equipment is important. I usually use a 12-foot rope like this so that I don't want to use a short little cotton rope, because if I get in the trailer just a little ways and my horse decides they want to go backwards a little ways, I only have inches before they're out of my hands. And I don't want to be pulling on them to force them in the trailer, and I'll explain more about that in a second. So I like to use a 12-foot or 14-foot rope at minimum. Sometimes I will even use a 22-foot rope, which I have over here on the side in case I decide I want to switch to that today. And then I like to use my stick and string so that I have a way to extend my body back behind her body to be able to talk to her back there. It's okay. Good girl, she says. Why are you talking to me right now? I'm just grazing. I'm just going to rub her and reassure her. That goes back to that desensitization. She was a little overly sensitive when my stick went up in the air, so I want to desensitize her and help her remember, oh yeah, that's right, it's not a big deal. Good girl. There we go. And then So So I've got my rope halter, my rope, and these particular ropes that I like to use, they have a certain weight to them so that the horse can feel what I'm asking them to do, even if I haven't, like I said, if I haven't pulled on the rope or anything. Girl, come over here so everybody can see. Good girl. There you go. Good girl. And so right now, because I'm practicing with her, I've got boots on her to protect her legs, just in case she does make a misjudgment of the edge of the trailer, whether it's a ramp or a step up. I like to use some just simple brushing boots are good just to protect the horse's legs while they're learning. And then I typically haul in some type of a boot just so they don't have a misstep or a simple accident that becomes a big, ugly vet call. That can happen pretty quickly. Another thing that can be helpful is if you have a horse who tends to want to rear or fly backwards really quickly, I would always put a head bumper on that horse so that they don't panic for some reason and end up cutting the top of their head or their poll. Their skull is only a 1/4 inch thick right up here. It's the thinnest part of their skull, and very little protection, and of course their brain is right inside that. So kind of odd and interesting that God gave them very little protection right over top of their brain, but that's what happened. So there's only about a 1/4 inch of bone protecting that. So it's very easy for them to fracture their skull by hitting it on the top of the trailer or on the entrance to the trailer, or even just pulling back on a rope. On a halter that doesn't break. So the right equipment is super important. And then when I approach trailering, I don't want to think about it like, okay, today I'm going to teach my horse to trailer, and suddenly change my energy or change my mindset or go, oh boy, my horse is so bad at trailering and I gotta get out there and I gotta conquer this with them. Okay, let's gear ourselves up, we're gonna go trailer. Well, that's just gonna turn into a stressful situation because your horse is gonna feel all that stress. I want to think about it just like any other obstacle that I send my horse to, over, through, or under. And so my prerequisite for trailering, which we've covered this in a number of our other videos, is a lot of the other obstacles that we work on with the horses. So I'll teach them to walk over a tarp, walk over poles, back through poles, back over a pole, side pass over a pole, doing different, they might go under pool noodles that are hanging from a doorway. They might push a ball around with their chest or have a ball touch their sides, have them walk up and onto a bridge and